Good morning. My name is Mark Busse. You may know me from the character I play as founder and host of Creative Mornings here in Vancouver, a monthly creative or breakfast lecture series on creativity. In fact, I invite you all to our next event next Friday with the one and only Adam Shake. But what you may not know is that I've spent the last 25 years of my career working with organizations and business leaders in the brand space, helping them with messaging, engagement, business development, culture, strategic planning. And it's through this lens, the strategic planning, that actually brings me here today to Brands for Better. In my many years of working with organizational leaders, and these businesses, it is without a doubt the most compelling and most effective strategy to focus on people and connection and conversation and creativity, and not necessarily logos and products and the marketplace. That is the most successful business strategy. And here we are. Okay. Welcome to what we call Brand Battle for Good, where local brands step up. And this year we're tackling social isolation in Vancouver, as you all know. Before we get started, as a gesture of respect and peace and friendship, we'd like to acknowledge that this event takes place on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh people. Most of us are in what is known as Vancouver. Is the Coast Salish people, and we recognize their sovereignty and that they have lived in kinship with these waters and lands and air for millennia. And that we are the unintended beneficiaries of settler colonialism and its present occupation and violent legacy. This is an online platform, but it isn't neutral. So we just share that not to pass judgment, not to seem particularly woke, but because it matters, and we want everyone to remember who we are and show up with an open heart, to respectfully listen and participate in really good ways. And part of that is by recognizing the land we're on, and we are uninvited guests here. Okay, so I really hope everyone already knows all this, but take a quick gander at some of our social handles. We would really love to see social media light up. Just one post by one of you may be all that's necessary to turn one of these great ideas into a tremendous success by getting the message out to ears that need to hear it, okay? And brandsforbetter.ca is where you can find all of the good information. But you didn't come here to listen to me, did you? No. We're gonna start the day off right. We have a special musical guest with us today. Desirée Dawson, whom I'm a big fan of, is a Juno-nominated recording artist. She's a singer-songwriter. She's a producer. She's a yoga teacher. She's the best ukulele player I've ever met. And she's passionate about music's role in collective healing by encouraging listeners to find a connection within themselves and the people and land around them. A bit of bio for you. A CBC radio favorite, Desiree's music has been featured on numerous programs. Her songs are regular rotation and won the CBC Searchlight contest in 2016. Over the last couple of years, she's been chosen for numerous high-profile opportunities across the country, whether as a songwriter in the Discovery Song Camp with Kenny Babyface Edmonds, a participant in the Ellen Slate Juno Masterclass, artist in the Vancouver Folk Fest, juror in the inaugural Black Canadian Music Award, and on and on and on. She passionately supports her community. She said yes right away as soon as we asked her to do this today. And she gives a variety of music-based workshops and gatherings, whether performing solo with her baritone ukulele, in harmony with her band, or leading a sound healing workshop. Her music gives us feeling and healing. And this morning, I asked her where she was. She's clearly not at home and in her studio. She's on tour with Serena Ryder. So ladies and gentlemen, if you would be so kind as to join me in welcoming the one and the only Desirée Dawson.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, Mark. I always love sharing these spaces with you. And yeah, I'm in Kamloops right now. I played a show last night, and we're heading to Cranbrook in about 30 minutes to play a show there. So I'm just gonna get started for you. Let's see. So I'd love if you felt like joining me to just kind of like maybe take a few deep breaths. But you don't have to. What I need is all I have. All I have is what I need. Embrace the journey. Quiet, endless searching. What I need is all I have. All I have is what I need. Embrace the journey. Quiet, endless searching. Quiet, endless searching. What I need is all I have. All I have is what I need. Embrace the journey. Quiet, endless searching. These words came to me one day as I stepped into the Caribbean Sea, and I was having one of those days where I was just so overwhelmed. And I realized that I'd been overwhelmed for months. And I realized that because of that overwhelm, I had stepped out of myself so far, and I wasn't even me. And I was trying to be all these things, and I was trying to do all these things that just weren't for me. And so I stepped into the water, and I just asked, what do I need to hear? And I started hearing these words. What I need is all I have. All I have is what I need. Embrace the journey. Quiet, endless searching. And these words became something that that what it meant to me was to come home, and that I was doing a lot of this like outward reaching and trying and grasping, and that I needed to just remember the wisdom that is inside of me. And that when I remember the wisdom that's inside of me, and when I come back to myself and I remember to love myself and to care for myself and to get grounded in myself, then I can go out into my communities in grounded ways and heal and grow and connect deeply. So this next song I'm going to sing for you is called Hold the Hope, and it's a new song of mine. And it's all about holding the hope for one another. I am someone who, when I'm moving through depression or any type of lower feeling, I isolate myself. And so Hold the Hope is all about how beautiful it is as a community to actually show up with one another, even when we're in those low places, and how it takes practice. Like I'm still learning how to be myself and to allow people in when I'm feeling those things, but I realize how beautiful it is when I do. So Hold the Hope is just about that. Let me be there for you. Let me hold the hope for you when you can't find it yourself. Let me make you soup or tuck you into bed, or just, be there for you and let you know that you're loved. If you're down, feeling stuck, if grief rolls in, I'll hold you up, I'll hold it down. If you need, take your space. No apologies needed when your heart is grieving and your body's needing a chance to restore. No need to carry those weights anymore. Trust me to hold the hope for you. Trust me to hold the hope for you, stuck in your head. I listen close, tuck you into bed. I'll dream of days running through fields, dancing around. 'Cause we've all been healed, and even if you're not ready for dreaming, I still love your being. No, I'm not leaving. I'm here for these days. I never need you to change. I love you, there's no need for shame. Trust me to hold the hope for you. You trust me to hold the hope for you, for you. Oh, 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 ooh, 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 so beautiful when we can hold that hope for each other. And I also think that I really like the idea that, like, I don't always have to be hopeful, you know, that I am sometimes so hopeful and I'm that person for you. And also sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I feel absolutely hopeless and I don't know how we're going to continue on. And I think it's beautiful that we can be that for each other, to remind each other, like, I will hold this for you until you can get it for yourself again. This next song is called, Mark, do I have time for 2 more songs? Do you think 1? I didn't actually look
at this point, we're all entranced by what you're doing. So you just go.
Okay, I'll do it.
We don't want this to stop. Keep going.
Okay, awesome. This next song's called Coffee, and I thought it was fitting to put it after this because coffee is all about a time that I was feeling really low, and I thought, like, I'm not leaving bed today. And so but a friend called me, and I looked at my phone and I was in bed, like, covers up to here. And I was like, I can't answer this. Like, I don't think I have the energy to, like, even say hello to this person. But for some reason, I answered it. And then we ended up talking for an hour, and I got out of bed and I made my bed. And I was like, I did not think my bed would be made today. But anyways, we were talking, and then he was like, you know what? I don't usually speak to a human being before I've had coffee. We've been on the phone for an hour. You must be my coffee. And I was like, that is the sweetest thing anyone has ever said. And then I was like, well, I don't like coffee. I like tea. So you can be my tea and I can be your coffee. And then as soon as I said that, this whole song poured through me. And I was like, I'm so sorry, but I have to go. I have to go write this song. So this is Coffee. Can you be my coffee? Can you be my tea? When I wake up, dear, I got no energy. And like a cup of coffee, you bring me to my feet. You wrap me up in feelings and feed me energy. I felt I was stuck, dear, stuck inside my head. Your voice, it came around, dear, so I rose up instead. The smell of you, it lingers, sweet fragrance in the morning, and I didn't even need to run to the kitchen and start pouring. You lift me, you lift me up, you lift me, you lift me up, you lift be my coffee? Can you be my tea? We can skip the sugar. Don't need no added cream. 'Cause I like you straight up. So show yourself to me and wrap me up in feelings and feed me energy. You lift me, you lift me up, you lift me, you lift me up, you lift me, you lift me up, you lift me, you lift me up. Can you be my coffee? Can you be my tea? This feeling that you send through me, it feels so healing. It's like you fill me with caffeine. Thank you. Thank you for your silent claps. Appreciate that. It's actually kind of fun to do. I used to do these Zoom concerts a lot, and then I haven't done them in a long time. But it's actually much better than I remembered it being. This is really lovely.
If you're okay with it, after this last song, I'm gonna suggest everyone unmute, and
Okay.
and we can get one round of applause in there for you, so you can feel the energy of these 135 people. Yeah, it's a
It is
lot.
really nice that I can see. I mean, I can only see like 5 people, but it's still really nice to see your faces. So thank you. This last song is called Mountaintops, and it's a song off of my most recent EP, which is called Meet with the Light. And this EP is very special to me because I wrote it it was like there was a few songs that my heart was like, you just need to get these out. We're not seeking like commercial success. We're not trying to get this on the radio. We're just like, this needs to go out to the world. And it's a very meditative project. And it's so awesome because we put this out, we felt proud of it. My heart was like, thank you for listening. And then I got a Juno nomination for this album this year. So it's really special to, I think, to have gotten recognition for something that was just purely like my heart wanting to come out. But anyways, this song Mountaintops is a song that is very special to me. And I wrote it because I've spent most of my life disliking myself, most of my life being really hard on myself. And I'm just done with it. Like the energy I've taken throughout my 31 years on this planet that has been focused on me disliking myself and me just trying to fit in and just always like I'm trying to catch up. It's like I don't have the energy for it anymore. And so this song was all about I'm just so ready to be fully in myself and to love myself deeply. And so Mountaintops is this energy of like literally either figuratively going to mountaintop or just going to the mountains and like chest open being like, I am no longer apologizing for who I am. I am beautiful. I am so powerful. I have so much to offer this world. And really just like, I feel like I'm actually starting to know that now, whereas before it was more like something I had to like convince myself. And I want to do it with you. I want to do it alongside you. Like there's no liberation of self until we are like liberated together. And that's what Mountaintops is about. And of course we are all constantly under these oppressive systems, capitalism, white supremacy, so many other oppressive systems that make us hate ourselves. And the only way we can like revolt against that is to love ourselves deeply and love each other deeply. So this is Mountaintops. Who are you leaving the lights on for? And how long do you plan on waiting? How much more electricity do you plan on wasting because you're looking so burnt out? But you have the choice, and when you meet your voice, the mountain tops await your arrival. Your fullness and not just survival. The mountains await your arrival like ooh, sing it from the mountaintops, sing it from the mountaintops. Ooh, sing it from the mountaintops, sing it from the mountains, from the mountains. Who left those lessons in the beat of your heart, teaching you that yes is the only answer? It's not the only answer, no. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you're becoming? Do you know who you are? Do you know who you're becoming? Do you know who you are? Do you know who you're becoming? Do you know who you are? Do you know who you're becoming? 'Cause you have the choice, and when you meet your voice, the mountaintops await your arrival. Your fullness and not just survival. The mountains await your arrival like. Thank you so much. My name is Desiree Dawson. You can find me on Instagram at Desiree Dawson Music.
Let's hear some applause.
I'm crying.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, folks, we're going to transition to something else. By the way, I put in the, let's do this. Hello. In the chat, I put a bunch of information for you to find Desiree, buy all the things, listen to all the things, share her far and wide. And if I mentioned it earlier, if you are interested, here's a direct link to the in-person Creative Mornings next Friday. We are doing a virtual version as well. You can find a link on that page to jump to that. But with that, that's it for me this morning, folks. And so now we're going to get the day started and ready for opening ceremonies. Here we go.
Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge that we're fortunate to live and work on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. This acknowledgement is a reminder of the discriminatory, racist, and colonial practices that have had a lasting legacy and continue to create barriers for Indigenous peoples and communities in our city.
A territorial acknowledgement is a personal commitment to and appreciation for the land you are in relationship with. And it is a way to respect the ancestors who cared for the land that is now caring for you. It is a decolonizing practice to be in good relations with the land, and appreciating Indigenous peoples' stewardship is part of that. Want to find out whose land you are on or whose land you grew up on? You can check it out at native-land.ca. Thank you to those who joined us in wearing orange today. September 30th marks the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, also known as Orange Shirt Day. Orange Shirt Day is an Indigenous-led, grassroots commemorative day that honors the children who survived residential schools and remembers those who did not. This day relates to the experience of Phyllis Webstat, a northern Secwepemc from the Sukswakam Ekskatam First Nation, who on her first day at a church-run residential school arrived dressed in a new orange shirt given to her by her grandmother. School authorities quickly stripped her of her clothes, cut her hair, and took her shirt away. She never got it back.
Wearing orange is now a symbol of the stripping away of culture, freedom, and self-esteem experienced by Indigenous children over generations. Advancing reconciliation and renewing the relationship with Indigenous peoples is based on recognition of rights, respect, cooperation, and partnership. If you haven't already, we encourage you to begin your learning journeys and activate your personal and professional reconciliation action plans today.
Welcome to the Brand Battle for Good, Day 1, the Understanding Isolation Conference.
This event is only made possible with the help of the core planning teams, advisory panels, and hundreds of volunteers, contributors and speakers across many brands, not-for-profits, and organizations donating their time to make it a success.
Hi, my name is Karla Peckett, founder and executive director of Brands for BetterFoundation, founding brand representative for Soul and ReCORK, co-visionary and co-host of the Brand Battle for Good, and Cause and Impact team lead.
Hi, my name is Mel Mock, Brands for Better Cause and Impact team volunteer, Speaker Comms team co-lead, and Day 1 lunchtime keynote moderator for the Happiness Methodology Talk.
By day, I'm the VP brand at Soul and ReCORK. Soul is an impact-driven, planet-first footwear company founded right here in Vancouver. And ReCORK is our cork recycling initiative in North America. I believe that by bringing people together and sharing experiences, you can inspire and change the way people think for better. I use my skills as a connector, visionary, brand strategist, and full-service designer to accelerate, activate, and amplify creative solutions.
By day, I'm the senior marketing manager at Farmboy, and I'm passionate about exploring the creative ways design methodologies can improve our world through a strategic, equitable, and inclusive lens. I'm a purpose-led person and strive to bring my diverse professional background to opportunities with organizations like Brands for Better, who work hard to give back and create meaningful, positive, and long-lasting impact on our communities.
Hi, I'm Brent Constantine, and welcome to the 2022 Brands for Better, Brand Battle for Good, an introduction to getting back to in-person, or BFBBB, FG, AIT, GP tip. The past 2 years have been a difficult time for all of us who have comfortably been working from home. Now it's time for that adventure to end and to enjoy each other's company again, as well as justify pre-existing long-term lease commitments on office space. After so long in the digital world, returning to a flesh-based event may be difficult, but there's no better pheromones to experience than corporate brand synergy. Can't get that at home. Similar to the muscles of your arms and legs, your social skills may have weakened and atrophied over the last 2 years. Take a look at this diagram. This is a model employee, ready to cost-effectively problem solve. Now, take a look at this post-pandemic worker. Body worn out and fragile from oversleep. Calves underworked from a suboptimal commute between just their bed and desk. Stomach flora overworked from a diverse and home-cooked diet. Brain confused jelly from a rich selection of streaming services. Troll-like posture from hunching over a screen where no one is monitoring their every move. Time away has made it clear that human beings have an innate biological need for constant supervision and more diverse locations to post Instagram reels from. Whether heading back to the office or preparing for an upcoming in-person event, we've prepared this instructional guide to help remote workers, as well as low security risk prison inmates, seamlessly reintegrate into day-to-day society.
Hey, character number 2, how have you been since I last saw you? Not great. I went through a tough breakup because my partner and I were trapped inside a $2,500 bachelor apartment for 1.5 years. We each took one of the cats, but the cat I got resents me and left to join a new family.
While this might be fine for one of the Reddit posts you've been making to r lonely for cats, this isn't appropriate for an in-person environment where big news like this can be tough for coworkers to handle. Let's try that again.
Hey, character number 2, how have you been since I last saw you?
Really great, thanks. I've just been really busy. What about you? Have you been busy?
Yeah, I've been staying really busy too.
Great, talk to you later. In the arms of the
Great, now you're getting it. Now that we're back in person, meetings can finally become exciting, collaborative, team-building events. Just soak up that mandatory participation. Let's get back to that desk and back to work. With just a few adjustments, it can even feel like a home, just without any personal space. First, make sure you clean out all the hobgoblins who may have taken control of your cubicle while away. Next, remove all the photos of friends, family, and cats you've drifted apart from over the last 2 years. Now, make sure you still have a large supply of paper clips for all the day-to-day clipping that you do. The paper's not going to clip itself. It might be difficult to get away from the comforts at home, so why not bring them with you into the office, and you won't be able to tell the difference. But of course, this is all hypothetical for you. You're at home half paying attention to this video. Don't worry, we've made many more that we'll be playing today. They asked us to do this. Here's an easy exercise you can do to warm up for dreaded human contact. Due to lack of use, your face may have lost the ability to form basic expressions. This is why everyone wants to isolate themselves. First, make those eyes wide to let people know you're enjoying looking at them. Now let's see that smile. Bigger? Give it everything you've got. Perfect. Now let's start nodding that head to show you're actively listening. Now you know the basics of getting back to in-person, and you're ready to engage at this year's Brand Battle for Good. Now, please welcome your hosts.
Welcome everyone to the Brand Battle for Good. My name is Scot Sustad, and this is the Karla Peckett. We're the founders of the Brands for BetterFoundation, and just gonna throw a little surprise on Karla. Actually, this isn't even on our notes, but she is 9 months pregnant. She is the leader of our little village that we call Brands for Better. And when we say village, Brands for Better wouldn't be Brands for Better without her, but what she does is essentially takes that village, puts it on her back, and then hauls us all right up the hill to make it happen. I think I've heard about 10 times how many, several people have said, I've never seen anybody get more done than what Karla gets done. How does she do it? And to be honest, I don't think any of us know how she does it. So just to shine the light on you, you are incredible. It's amazing to watch you, partner with you. But the two of us are going to be your hosts for this event, and welcome.
You're going to start me off crying with tears, but thank you very much, Scott. Welcome, friends. It's lovely to see you all here today. How about those amazing and hilarious tutorial videos from Sonova Studios and Quarterly Comedy to kick things off? Some very valuable insights I'm sure we can all relate to as professionals. Huge shout out to Mark Busse and the incredible sound of Desirée Dawson for starting our day off right.
Now, to all of our participants, really need you to listen to me here. We want to thank you for showing up, really showing up. We know that you're pressed for resources and your time is super short, and really you've made sacrifices to be here, and it's not lost on us. But also, hear this, your presence makes a clear statement that you care and that you're invested in our community. We're going to have a heap of fun, we're going to learn a lot, and I'm so friggin' excited about the solutions that you're gonna come up with. I mean, seriously, just imagine how much impact is possible when we put our creative energy together and really go for it. In the end, some of you are going to go home with some of this classy upcycled hardware from Dave and Made to Fly Designs. And for those of you just tuning in, here's how things work with the Brand Battle for Good. So today is our education and inspiration day. We're getting the ideas flowing, getting to know the facilitators. And a week from today, next Wednesday, all of the teams are going to come together in person this year. Can we get an amen to in person? For the Brand Battle Hackathon for Good. At day 2, they're going to refine their concepts. They're going to pitch them to a panel of judges. And the top 3 teams will move on to the award night, where they'll repitch their idea to the challenge squad and to a live audience and all of the participants. And in the end, everyone votes to select the winner. So we've all got some responsibility here.
What do they get? The winning idea will receive $15,000 in in-kind digital marketing support from Daily Hive, $10,000 in in-kind marketing awareness from impact publication Ripple of Change, and the upcycled trophy and bragging rights for the year.
So as we kick things off, we need to pause to acknowledge those who have made this experience possible. Did you know that Brands for Better is completely volunteer driven? Nobody gets paid. And this event is fully funded by the participating team's entry fees, thank you very much, and by generous financial supporters that believe in what we're doing. And side note, when you're working with an army of volunteers donating their time and working on an event this big and this complex, there are a lot of people to thank. So just buckle up for a couple minutes here, because we gotta run through some people that really deserve to be acknowledged.
First off, thank you to our founding brands, Soul, ReCORK, and Digital Hot Sauce. Scott and I have some close relationships with these companies as they pay our salaries. Without their support and the significant investment of money, time, and team resources, Brands for Better simply would not exist.
Hear, hear. And huge thanks to Salesforce, who was an early adopter, and they've stepped up now for 2 years in a row as our platinum sponsor of the event, putting in a good sum of money. And Forge and Smith, man, these guys worked so hard and donated so much time, and I might say their patience to us as well to build our new website. We asked them to, we really actually forced them to do the math to figure out what our new website is worth and how much time they put into it. And it turns out it really wasn't very simple. And they donated over $40,000 in shop time to bring this to life. We can't wait to show you it at the end of the event.
And thanks again to Daily Hive, our digital media title partner, for the 2nd year in a row.
And thanks to a new partner, Ripple of Change. They're a Vancouver-based publication who donated a publication package to support the winning concept.
Thank you to Mitchell Press, who generously provided us with printing assets for Day 2's event signage.
And GHG Accounting has been behind us since the beginning. This year, they're calculating the GHG emissions for the event.
And this year, Brands for Better is excited to commit to offset our total emissions by 110%, officially making this Brand Battle for Good a certified carbon negative event.
And thank you to our Day 2 fueling station and bar partners. These generous groups have jumped in to ensure we're hydrated, well-fed, and necessarily caffeinated. You're not going to want to miss the happy hour and award night.
And to our Brands for Better supporters for donating to the cause through financial or in-kind services.
Huge shout out to Clark's AV. This is the studio we're in today, and then they'll be doing all the audio-visual for Day 2 at the Roundhouse as well.
Speaking of all hands on deck, a huge shout out to the event production team behind this magical event.
And our cause and impact team worked tirelessly to do the research behind social isolation and create the problem statement everyone will be working on. They also enlisted each of our speakers, judges, and subject matter experts for today's incredible conference workshop.
A massive shout out to Decade Impact, Hootsuite, and Ballantyne, who stepped up to design the entire hackathon flow and coordinated your talented design thinking facilitators.
With the help of these world-class facilitators you see on the screen there, teams will work to understand, to define, ideate, distill, commit, and pitch their big idea that addresses Vancouver's social isolation problem. Thank you to each and every one of you facilitators for donating your valuable time.
We've got quite the lineup of speakers and experts ready to share their knowledge and experience with you today. I had the privilege of getting to know each of them personally and was very inspired. All of the speakers, workshop hosts, judges, MCs, and challenge squad panelists donated their time in solidarity with the other volunteers. Literally, not one of them asked to be paid. Now it's time to meet this year's live muralist. Whistler-based artist Kate Zessel draws inspiration from the surroundings that she calls home. Throughout the entire event, Kate will be live painting a statement piece in the theme of isolation versus connection. The final painting will be revealed at the Brand Battle for Good Award Night and auctioned to the highest bidder upon the completion of the event, with 50% of the proceeds being donated back to Brands for Better Foundation.
Meet Kate, everybody.
Hi.
Kate, welcome. So happy to have you. Just bring us into your world a little bit. And one, I have two questions for you this morning. One is, what inspired you to take the invitation to be here today and next week?
Well, I'm so bad at speaking live here. But I think for me, the last 2 years have been quite challenging for everyone. It's a little different. I live in the middle of nowhere and I'm isolated all the time. So I'm used to it. I'm used to working at home, being by myself, and then berating my boyfriend when he comes home because I haven't spoken to anyone all day. But during that time, I had a lot of people reach out to me being like, how do I do this? So I thought, what a great opportunity to sort of use what I do and then connect people as well as sort of share how I've done it for the last 2 years. So yeah, that's kind of why.
Sounds like it's like a continuation of your natural ability to welcome people in. To how do you navigate through?
That's probably a better way to say it.
Well, you're the perfect fit. So take us into, give us a little bit of where's this painting flowing from for you?
So I started thinking about Vancouver because I grew up here. And for me, what I always loved was the mountains, it's very ironic that the singer before her last song was about mountains. I was like sitting here being like, oh, this is so great. I'm painting them right now. But I always loved getting away and feeling so alone in the mountains because it was where I was at peace. So I decided to do the iconic peaks, the lions that you can see from downtown Vancouver. So in this section, it's going to be downtown Vancouver with the lions in the background here with a little camping light out of a tent. I swear it'll look better as we go here.
This is just the beginning.
Yeah, just the beginning. And then I'm going to do a sort of zoomed in version of that. And it's almost a Venn diagram, if you could see that, where the connection in the middle is going to be brighter colors. And then on the outside, it'll be a bit darker, but they're connected by the lights of like the city and then the little tent that we have going on.
We are so pumped to see how this evolves.
Yeah.
And thank you again for being here. And once again, this painting is going to be up for auction at the end of the event.
Thanks so much, Kate. And I think you're a wonderful public speaker. All right, let's get this thing kicked off and watch this video to learn a little bit more about why we are here today. There has been a rise of loneliness in Vancouver for many years. Its residents have grappled with a growing sense of social isolation, naming it an issue of concern over poverty and the housing crisis, along with a culture of clickiness, an issue that has only been exacerbated by the forced isolation of the pandemic.
Human beings are a fundamentally social species with a basic need to belong and a strong drive for intimacy and companionship. This drive is evident as people readily form relationships, fear social rejection, resist relationship dissolution, and experience distress when relationships end or are threatened.
Though we are social creatures, with the rise of social media and digital communication, our culture is becoming lonelier than ever. We're in an age of technology where many depend on texting instead of talking face-to-face. It's so easy for us to scroll on social media for hours, worrying more about likes and followers than real quality time. Group hangouts online and sending others videos on Instagram and Snapchat are considered by some way less boring than family dinners.
When people are lonely or isolated, they're less likely to connect with friends and neighbors and less likely to trust their community. But loneliness has a bigger impact. It's the residents who feel lonely, not those who spend too much time alone, who are at greatest risk of feeling disconnected. Years ago, Vancouver Foundation, a local research and impact-driven not-for-profit, set out to learn what issues people in our region care about the most. What they found was a surprise. They had expected people would choose poverty, the housing crisis, or other issues that dominated the headlines at that time. But what the people of Vancouver said concerned them the most was a growing sense of social isolation. And then came COVID. In March of 2020, people were forced into total isolation, exacerbating the challenges faced by those who lack a sense of belonging, direction, and community. Some adapted, some withdrew, and some are still trying to figure out where they fit in. On top of that, the social injustices that have occurred over these past few years have highlighted the additional layers of complexity to this ongoing issue.
Loneliness affects a wide range of people and ages for a wide variety of contributing factors: societal and systemic barriers, racial and economic inequality, accessibility barriers and a lack of universal design, and a lack of equity and inclusion for marginalized and underserved population groups, among many others.
Social isolation and loneliness are serious yet underappreciated public health risks that affect a significant portion of the older adult population. Approximately 1/4 of community-dwelling residents aged 65 and older are considered to be socially isolated, and a significant proportion of adults reported feeling lonely. Research also proves that people with disability experience loneliness, low perceived social support, and social isolation at significantly higher rates than people without disability, with fewer support networks around them and lack of equal chances to feel part of their local communities. Surprisingly to some, young adults between 25 and 35 are among the hardest hit and often overlooked in the discussion of social isolation, according to the Vancouver Foundation's Connections and Engagement Report released in December 2017. Young, employed, and making an effort.
The Vancouver Foundation's research suggests that battling affordability might be getting in the way of making connections, with 1/3 of under 35s saying that more financial resources would make it a lot easier to make friends. The research also suggests that year over year, residents are becoming less active in community life than before, that 1 out of 2 people find it difficult to make friends, that 1 out of 4 people find themselves alone more often than they'd like.
Loneliness and social isolation are linked to serious health conditions, personal struggles, mental health, mistrust, and subconscious and unconscious guilt. The good news, however, is that Vancouver Foundation's Connect and Engage report also showed signs of hope in that most Vancouver residents enjoy strong social connections, that 8 out of 10 residents know at least one neighbor well enough to ask for help, and that 9 out of 10 have someone they can depend on.
Although progress has been made, we can't seem to crack the social code in Metro Vancouver. What can we do to reduce social isolation and loneliness? Well, the answer lies in community connection.
Let's remove the stigma. Besides being painful, loneliness is highly stigmatized and is a taboo subject, and has been for a long time.
Let's remove the barriers. Let's design our concepts universally and look to make community connection more accessible to everyone that needs it.
Let's practice humility. Let's be open to learning new things, own our mistakes, listen before we speak, and acknowledge those with different perspectives, cultures, and experiences.
We all deserve to feel like we are supported and that we belong. And we are hopeful that the work we are doing here will address this in our city. Imagine a city where everyone feels welcome, safe, and supported. And we couldn't imagine it any other way.
And why you? Because your brands have power, you have influence, and audiences who are connected, not to mention internal teams with existing synergy that can make great things happen. Brands know people, what they like and what they don't, and your teams live and work here and understand our city, presenting a big opportunity to utilize your knowledge, organizational resources, and experience to help guide the necessary shifts in Vancouver.
This interactive event promises a mixture of learning, networking, professional development, and team building, combined with a polished production of storytelling, friendly competition, live art, comedy, music, and a networking party to finish. Each team will have a dedicated facilitator to guide them through the event. With the help of these world-class design facilitators, teams will use design thinking methodologies to understand, define, ideate, distill, commit, and pitch their ideas that flip the script on Vancouver's isolation problem.
This event is not about one winner. It's about activating all of our brands on an impact level so we can motivate people to step in and create change.
Thank you. Thanks to each and every one of you who stepped up in some way. Thanks to each and every one of you who are here with us today. You're incredible, you care, and we genuinely appreciate you. What can start here today can multiply elsewhere. We can create a movement. Change starts with you.
Now let's get this thing started and create some positive impact for our city.
Okay, so unfortunately, we've had a change in plans this morning. Our morning keynote, James Delorme, got stuck in Edmonton last night, so he's actually on a plane right now, which is right during the time that he was meant to speak. So, Chaandani is here this morning, and she's going to kick us off, and we're looking forward to hear from her. She's going to tell a lot of her bio, actually, in her story, so we're going to let her introduce herself, but welcome, Chaandani Khan.
Thank you. Welcome, Changemakers. It's so nice to be here with you today. My name is Chaandani, and I harness the power of voice and language to close the gap between self and experience. As well, I do this to help build a pathway for connection between self and others. By others, I'm referring to fellow humans who don't necessarily understand our personal experience purely because they haven't experienced it themselves. But I do believe that people have the capacity to learn from the stories of others and deepen the level of empathy that they feel. And who knows, they may personally connect to experiences within our story more than we initially assume is possible. Let me take you back to a point in time in my life when I felt invincible. Feeling a sense of human connection has lit me up for as long as I can remember. It makes me feel happy, fulfilled, and like there's more to this whole rat race thing that we're doing on Earth. So, being a social extrovert who loves fellow humans, it was normal for me to meet friends and even make professional connections in my daily life. I connected through conventional means, such as at a trade show, and through less conventional means, such as at a noisy bathroom in a bar. Over the years, professionally, I interacted with a high volume of people, colleagues, vendors, teams, you name it. And somewhere along the way, I got into the habit of working 10+ hours per day, traveling often for work, and trying to balance that with my own personal travel adventures. I also maintained my social life, my workout and volunteer schedule, and I always made time to get into flow state with my photography and crafting hobbies. I felt naturally energized, and importantly, I possessed the ability to push myself hard through the times when I did actually feel tired. I like to ensure that goals were met and plans were kept. Eventually, I decided to break into a new industry that had been in the back of my mind for years. I took time to do research on the best practice for how to get into it, as well as to familiarize with its basic lingo. Additionally, I attended industry conferences and events where I could approach specific management professionals and ask to take them for an informational coffee. For some people, the strategy might sound a bit intimidating, but for my extroverted self, it was a pleasure. I felt privileged to connect with a variety of professionals who instantly offered to share their time and resources with me. It never ceases to amaze me how many people are just ready and willing to help, if only you just ask. One of my key takeaways from all these informational coffees was the value of learning the industry by actually working in it while simultaneously pursuing education at a school program. Fast forward a couple months and I had excitedly begun a part-time program at BCIT. A couple weeks into that, I was fortunate to land a perfect role that offered a growth trajectory with an incredible company and an even more incredible department head. The learning curve I signed up for by following this strategy was tough, but I knew my grit was tougher. Except for one thing. 3 days into my brand new career, a concussion brain injury derailed my entire existence. One day I was choosing to live my life the way that I wanted, and the next, I was forced into a deeply painful, yet profound journey that dragged me straight into the experience of social isolation. Unbeknownst to me at the time, I'd set sail on a humbling journey of loss, which would much later be followed by the opportunity for massive personal growth. I felt like my life had morphed into a choose-your-own-adventure book, but it was missing all the pages of escape options. Instead, I kept landing on horrifying pages that included things like being unable to follow a simple conversation, being unable to tell characters apart on TV shows during the rare times I tried to have screen time, that is. No longer understanding how to make a sandwich, like it just didn't click to me, didn't make sense. Waking up in physical pain for absolute years on end, and no longer being able to think clearly or behave like myself. And the bonus, none of these pages included a recovery date or an end date. Helplessly, I watched from behind a thick barrier of brain fog as the life that I worked so hard to create just drifted out of my grasp and then fell off into the abyss. Living out the chapters of no more work or income, no school, limited social life, no workouts, no volunteering, no hobbies, and above all else, very limited control over my own life, well, it was sobering to say the least. I quickly realized that all the determination and all the grit in the world couldn't make my brain heal faster, and it just couldn't give me back my old life. My social life took a difficult hit, and with it, the feeling of consistent human connection that I had cherished. I was missing out on events, on travel opportunities, on celebrations with friends, bonding with colleagues, even working on my laptop at a chaotic coffee shop, and so much more. Although there were a few close people that I kept in touch with, I mainly couldn't keep up with my old lifestyle. I didn't yet have the language or the understanding to explain to my network or my communities that I so deeply valued what was happening to my life. It was so painful being ripped away from it all against my will. Social isolation is more than just a concept or feeling. It's an invisibility. It took 6 months for me to lose a sense of self and who I used to be. That's one of my most profound life experiences to date, yet no one around me could see it or feel it. I was alone. In the context of today's pandemic, the theme of social isolation is one that instantly, and somewhat ironically, unites us. It's a shared, lived human experience. Many Vancouverites have become well acquainted with this concept, and they tend to attribute experiencing it to an external cause. COVID-19 was and remains a devastating reality for many people. During the onset and the height of the pandemic restrictions, human connection other than in virtual form was essentially canceled. And together, we lost freedom to leave our homes, social activities, meaningful human connection, and at the core of it, we lost control in our own lives. Together we gained way too much screen time, frustration with being stuck at home for days and weeks on end, depression, anxiety, and a slew of other mental health surprises, shall we say. During this time, though, something unexpected happened for me. I began to feel less like the outsider I had become due to the impact of my injury. I felt less different. Now I'm aware that I was witnessing people around me and on social media going through the stages of loss and grief that I had similarly gone through the year before. When I was at my worst, engaging in fun social outings, let alone being able to cognitively manage the steps required to leave my apartment, became a long-lost luxury. For an extrovert like me, it was a unique version of hell. Being what I refer to as an isolation trailblazer in this context, I would have been in a position to help others learn to cope with these life restrictions if only I had my regular wits about me. But at the time, I was drowning in symptoms and pain, and having additional restrictions placed on my life didn't affect me too much. In my case, the culprit behind my social isolation was internal. It was due to my own injured brain. However, what I faced as a result of it echoes what many have now experienced through the pandemic and through various other external causes. In order for you, our changemakers, to create the most inclusive community solution, I invite you to take both external and internal causes for isolation from others into account. Let's talk reintegration. Okay, so where am I now? Well, deep shame and embarrassment around my acquired deficits kept me quiet for years, until I made the decision just to push past my fears. At this point, I created my own internal lexicon in order to understand some of the abstract facts of living with a brain injury, especially one that was invisible. I stopped worrying about making others uncomfortable with my truths, and I began to integrate these terms I created into everyday conversations. In doing so, I reconnected with my voice. Not only has speaking my truth inspired learning journeys for those around me, it continues to be the most cathartic part of my entire recovery journey thus far. Voice was the key that opened the door to human connection for me again, and language offered me a way out of being unseen. Once expressing myself more freely again, I realized how detrimental the loss of control over my life had been. I needed to take back my power. I couldn't heal my brain or stop going to mandated appointments, but I could control my mindset. I began following high-performance coaches. I agreed to yoga therapy. I only consumed media that supported my growth. And I learned to set real boundaries, and so much more. Gratitude flowed to me after tiny wins, despite remaining in a sea of uncertainty. So, does all this mean that I found an escape page in the adventure book after all? No, my journey's still being written. What I do know is that I no longer feel the need to find one. Thank you.
Chaandani, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was really vulnerable, and I just wish you were sort of more of a high achiever, like a little bit more intentional.
Yeah.
You know, really great job.
Thank you so
really
much.
Appreciate your intentionality as well.
I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for sharing. All right, everybody, we're gonna have a video, a short break, and then you're gonna jump into your rooms to get things kicked off with your facilitators at 9:45.
Now it's time for a workshop tip on breaking the ice with your team. One of the most embarrassing things is getting someone's name wrong. So if someone calls me the wrong name, I'll just respond to that name going forward. On the 4th floor, I'm Trish or Tash. On the 2nd floor, I'm Tal, Tag, and Trash. On the 1st floor, they just call me Glenn for some reason.